We visited the Holocaust Museum in Washington, D.C., and the moment we stepped inside, the quiet stopped us. It wasn't just silence, it felt like the building itself was asking us to slow down and truly see what happened. This visit was a chance for us to pause, reflect, and remember. As we moved to the exhibit on ancient hatred and modern violence, the reality of how these patterns continue hit even harder. And when I held the identification card of someone who actually lived through the Holocaust, the story became personal.
The patrol leader called in by radio and said that we have come across something that we're not sure what it is. It's a big prison of some kind, and there are people running all over. Sick, dying, starved people. You can't imagine it. Things like that don't happen.
And their salvation lies in violence. Time magazine called it a bibliocaust. And Newsweek used the term that would later be applied to the Nazi program to destroy the Jews, Holocaust. The American Jewish community was already actively protesting Nazi persecutions and promoting a boycott of German goods. Across denominational lines, the churches spoke as if with one voice. At New York's Riverside Church, Harry Emerson Fosdick called it an outrage to the conscience of the civilized world.
Surrounding you are photos from the once flourishing town. Asia Shock was one of countless Jewish communities devastated during the Holocaust. In September 1941, Nazi German perpetrators and their local helpers shot and killed nearly 4,000 Jewish people from Asia Shock and nearby. In just a few days, this centuries-old Jewish community was destroyed. Explore Asia Shock's stories.
On the back of this photo, Ethel wrote a love note. To my darling Shol, my lover and dear one, forever and ever. From your lover. Shol taught Ethel Hebrew. They were also members of a Hebrew theater group. In her portrait, Ethel wears a costume and holds a prop instrument. Prior to World War II, Shol immigrated to Palestine, where he survived the war. Ethel remained in Asia Shock and was shot by Nazi German perpetrators and their local helpers in September 1941.
The businesswoman. Wearing a flower in her hair, Alta and a friend enjoyed a moment of leisure at a resort near Asia Shock. Alta owned a combination pharmacy and bakery on the main square. Above the shop, she operated a photo studio and employed employed at least 2 photographers. Many photographs in this room and the tower above are from her studio. Nazi German perpetrators and their local helpers murdered Alta in the September 1941 massacre. The identity and fate of her friend remain unknown.
They would line us up every morning, and they would take us outside, and we would carry huge rocks from one side to another. One day we would come and we would take these huge rocks from this side, and we would carry them to that side. The next day they would bring us back, and we would take these same huge rocks, and we would carry them from that side back to this side. We were all weak, and to carry a big rock like that was a lot of weight and a lot of work. At the time they take us back to the barracks at night, we could barely crawl. But we needed to show that we could still walk, and we were strong enough to give one more day. This is how the selection was done. They would stand there with a stick to the right or to the left as you ran by them. One never knew if they were in the good line or the bad line. One line would go to the gas chambers, the other line would go back to the camp and to the barracks to live another day.
Another thing was to see when you went to work, when you went to slave labor, who is no longer there? Who is left? And it became like an animal. Oh, I'm living another day. He's no longer. And you know, the worst part, that you couldn't cry for it. You couldn't cry. You couldn't cry in Auschwitz. You cried, you died. Then if you showed even more weakness than you already had, you didn't survive the day.
And I amazed this, I never cried after my parents. I never missed them somewhere. I never knew what happened to them anyways. But it was completely bewildering. It was like another party, another body was in me. It's all of a sudden I didn't care if I survived, I didn't care if I didn't survive. It was just a zombie, living as a zombie.
I used to dream a lot about my mother, but I would force myself, I was very attached to my mother, but I would force myself not to think about it. I would think about anything, always what I'm going to do after I get out. I never wanted to think that I'm going to die then.
It was always muddy and damp, and the grounds were always covered full of mud. We smelled a terrible smell because of the ovens.